Hey everyone, we're so glad you're here joining us today. I'm Maia and I'm joined by my co-founder Cassie, and we are sustainability nerds. And we've been nerds about sustainability for quite some time now. I am a graduate student, recently graduated actually from the University of
Woohoo!
Southern California. Thanks, Cass. I appreciate
Go
it.
babe.
Uh, it was not light work, as I'm sure you know, being a student researcher yourself in your own program. Um, but yeah, we are opening up today's podcast with just nerding out about sustainability. So join us. Cassie, what makes you a sustainability nerd?
So many good reasons. I would say top three reasons why I'm a sustainability nerd is because I absolutely love the environment. Like, I love just being out in nature. Even if it's just a casual walk, if it's
Preach.
a big old 14er hike, if it's, anything in between, I'm obsessed. Nature just makes me feel amazing. And I would follow that up with being a sustainability nerd is seeing the good in people and the good in our places and wanting both to just be able to grow and sustain itself in a beautiful way. And so that's why I went back to school for sustainability. I
Yeah.
decided to become an adult learner, lifelong learner, excuse me, and pursue my degree in integrated sustainability for Colorado Mountain College after like 9 years of taking off from school. And I did not know what I was doing, but honestly, I'm so grateful that I went back because then I learned what an awesome community sustainability brings about. And that will be my third and final
Totally.
reason.
I just want to say, like, being a lifelong learner is one of the things that does sustain us to keep growing and evolving. And a big reason why I went back to school as well was for those reasons. It's crazy because, well, it's not crazy. It's wild because Cassie and I met at a job back in like 2022. We were working at a ski resort, and we really did hit it off right away, I would say, in a way that just like felt very authentic, and there was already this kinship there. Um, and little did I know, and little did you probably know, Cassie, that we would just be here talking about sustainability and what really gets us going with it, get into the hot and heavy of it all.
I
And
remember, I think you inspired me to go back to school because you were like, "Ah, I think I want to continue like my studies and do something in sustainability or environmental science or like environmental policy." And I was like, okay, girl, get it. You should. So I'm so proud of you for doing it because it's brought us to this very moment of now. And that's pretty badass.
I think both of us have been wanting to do something for the past decade of like, where do we fit into this field, and
Mhm.
how do we want to present ourselves in this field as well? It's interesting because there are paths to be taken, the scientific route, or there's like a societal route to take. For me, I always thought like, oh, I studied the environment, but do I really want to be a scientist? I don't know if I can do
Mhm.
that, those late nights in the labs. And if you are a scientist, thank you so much for
So
all that
cool.
you do. It's so cool. But I knew that wasn't going to be me. And I think I needed a little bit more clarity on what that means for me. And kind of going back to this question of what makes me a sustainability nerd, it's really does go back to early childhood. I was so fortunate to grow up in Colorado, and I was so fortunate that my family had such a connection to nature. And without sounding too hippy dippy, um, without sounding too hippy dippy, I was just very lucky that I got to experience that, to run barefoot in the mountains and learn how to ski at the age of like 3, to be able to watch the sunset over the mountains every day. Those memories and that connection to nature is my North Star when it comes to sustainability. And I thought sustainability truly did just mean like one thing, and it was the environment. And boy, was I wrong in that. But that's okay to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew that the environment was something that needed to be protected, because without the environment, there is no people. And so, yeah.
Love that. Yeah, the biosphere is what holds all things that we know. And without it, we would not be here. So it's something that deserves our respect and our care so deeply. And the more of us that do it, the better things could be. And so there's only, going up from here by being a lifelong learner, returning to these principles of nature and nurture, being fueled. And similar-ish, but different than Maia, I grew up in New Jersey, the Garden State. So gorgeous, but also one of the most populated states in the country. And so it was very hectic, and I always wanted to just get the heck out and go to California. And I tried so many times to move to California.
Cassie was a fangirl.
Oh, I was van living for like a decade, like every summer. I was like, take my whole soul. I'm obsessed with this. But if it wasn't for those experiences, like if I had never gone to music festivals and gone out west and grew this connection on my own with nature, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now doing this with you. And I'm grateful to have the baseline of also loving nature because of my family and my grandma growing up in the Amazon rainforest in Ecuador, and then her bringing like crazy animals and crazy food from the rainforest back home and introducing me to this life that was so rich because of plants and animals. I thought that was everyone's baseline. So I'm so grateful to now have my own relationship and connection to Mother Earth. And now I'm just stoked to be a warrior for the planet, because it's just one of the most beautiful experiences living on this planet, and to be able to build a future where others can also enjoy this beauty that just happens naturally. It was pretty awesome. So
and then
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too. And like when you were growing up and your grandma was bringing back, these foods and animals from the earth, or like animals and plants and stuff, would you say that it gave you like a deeper like understanding of where your food was coming from, and being more thankful for where your food was coming from, being like, this used to be in the earth and now it's sustaining me, so now I should sustain the earth? What's your pathway? And give a little insight into that.
Yeah.
If
So
you
I would
want.
say, yeah, no, that's one of my favorite questions. My grandma and my great grandma were bringing back like pygmy marmoset monkeys that were like as big as your finger, and they would hold on to them and like pass them around to all the cousins. And we had lime trees in the living room, and we had like grapevines growing in an inner city on the rooftop of our garage. And my grandma just kept that so alive and was always gardening, always adopting animals, from like cats to dogs to parrots and everything in between. And it just showed me that was just such a natural and right part of living was living in unison with nature and your surroundings, especially plants and animals. There was just such a focus on it that I didn't know any other way. I was so young when I had those experiences, like ever since I was like 2, 3 years old, running around with like a herd of dogs, seemingly, and like helping my grandma pick these grapes off the vines. She would just like throw me up there on the garage and I would just like grab them for her. And I just thought that, hey, this is just how you live life. And when I saw, after moving to New York City for school, um, I saw the disconnect was so opposite of what I was used to that it confused me and made me like really depressed and just confused, I guess is the best word. Because to me, it's not only, hey, I'm a sustainability student and so I'm sustainable. It really is like, how are you living your day to day life considering everything, the people, places, and things that you can extend the life on, that you can share with others, that you can have, sweet moments over. And having those experiences so close and tangible, I once heard a quote that said, something along the lines of, I don't need to be out in the mountains and be a barefoot hippie to
Mm-hmm.
understand nature or be one with nature. I can just cut into an onion or a cabbage and really look at the intricate fractals that are working their way through that vegetable to see that I am that as well. And so, long story long, but it's it's what established my baseline of we are nature and we're gonna return to nature one day, so we might as well live in harmony with it. And my grandma's part of an indigenous tribe, the Quechua people in the Andes, and that's their whole life is just eating the grains that they have access to, the bananas, the plantains, the, like the flowers that were around them, whether they were beautiful or poisonous. They were in reverence and respect to nature. And that was my foundation. So I have been seeking
Nice.
that in my life forever. And now I finally got it in Colorado and with the right people where now I can commune in nature all the time, just stepping outside my door. And I'm so grateful for that. But yeah, having my family have that background and foundation of being so close to the earth, I was like, how could you not be? Was just
Yeah,
my thinking always. So yeah.
I love that. It kind of reminds me of this book. I'm not sure if you've read it, but if you haven't, I have a copy I can share with you. It's by
Lovely.
Robin Wall Kimmerer, who is an
Yes.
Indigenous woman we love.
Mhm.
And she wrote this book called The Serviceberry. And your story just really reminds me, and the way that your grandma lives really reminds me of this book where she talks about how, you eat something from the earth. Giving thanks to the food that the earth has given you is so important. You eat it, so you should be reciprocal with your love with it because the earth just loved you. The plants gave you life. And so, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Instead,
Mhm.
love it back and protect it. And you can see this in family dynamics. Your parents, generally speaking, obviously it's a nuanced topic, but if your parents have given you, or grandparents or friends give you love, you're giving love right back and you're showing that. Something that I've learned recently is that creativity in itself drives sustainability. It drives
Amen.
inclusiveness. It drives competitiveness. And
Mm.
something big from my program as well is that it was very business heavy. And that was such a weird thing to me because I'm sure you feel similarly, Cassie, of like our upbringings didn't revolve around profit. It didn't revolve around, how fast can we? make money and hurt the earth in the process and
Mm-hmm.
not care about all of that. If anything, like my dad instilled at a very young age, like oil is bad. Oil, we do not need that. And I think a big misconception, especially in the United States, still, unfortunately, is that profit and sustainability can't go hand in hand, but they can. There's been many business cases that prove that. And, you know, this is kind of going off on a tangent a little bit, but there needs to be a transformation in how we just view sustainability in general. But if money is what makes the world go round, then how can we do that in a sustainable way? And those are really big questions to answer. And
That's the key. Ask
yeah,
all the questions.
there's not one right answer to it, but there's multiple different solutions, and it might vary from state to state, city to city, country to country, province to province. Wherever you are in this world, you can go into a restaurant and say, okay, they're still using plastic bags. Why is that? And maybe the restaurant, being a restaurant owner, I'm sure is so stressful. Why would do they have even the time to look into alternatives? And if they don't, that's kind of where sustainable consulting and just in general, just spreading news about what are good solutions, saying switch here, it's actually cost comparable to what you're using, which are plastic bags, like switch to these types of bags. And we'll get into that as we get more into this podcast, but those are just some things that came up for me.
Yeah, you just gotta meet people where they are, right? If profit is, I mean, it has been for a long time that profit is what drives people, places, and empires and, the like. Okay, well, if you want to save money or you want to make more money, why not go a sustainable route? You never know until you know, like, that something could work out way more beneficially. So that is what we're attempting to build here, is the vessel where we can talk about these things, unearth them, dissect them, put them all back together again, and see what works for all of us so that we can all do sustainability in a little way or in a big way. Because the more of us that do it, the better off things will be. Like, point blank, period. Like, there's
Turn
no,
up.
I'm not sugarcoating anything. I'm just going to be as simple as possible. If we all just do right by the earth, it'll continue to do right by us, because it's been going the other way for so long. And alongside that too, there's so much information inundating the field of sustainability, because even though it's not a new concept, we've known about this, we've seen the studies, things were coming about in 1970s where we're like, hey guys, we need to pay attention. Massive dumps of
Um,
uranium on the Front Range, like really wild things. And
and
they're still there. It
and they're
still
still
exists.
and we're still feeling those impacts, like especially, I mean, bringing in like another aspect of both of us is that we both identify as women, and
Yes.
we have women's health is like wildly under researched, but a lot of it, like why our bodies act the way that they do, is from like environmental factors and breathing in dirty air, drinking hard water, things that, I mean, I literally in LA had to get like a water filter because I was starting to lose my hair from the how horrible the water is here.
Oh,
And that should, I mean, one, that should,
terrifying.
yeah, well, terrifying, but it angers me that I had to go out and spend
Mhm.
money to do that when I'm like, that should not
To
even,
have a resource that's not harming you. Like,
yeah,
what is that
that,
about?
what, like, it's like mind boggling, but I guess that like fuels the passion as well.
Definitely.
I mean, great for these people who are making these water filter systems, and I'm not trying to put them out of business or anything, but at the same time, like, our government should be helping us with this shit, right? That they should be out here pushing policy through that, gives us clean enough water that it doesn't make our hair fall out. Like,
Right.
bare
Right.
minimum. And
Right.
it's unfortunate that this is where we are now, but at the same time, it's important to remain optimistic,
No better
hopeful.
time than right now. Yeah, because
Exactly.
it has to be like I appreciate what you're saying so much because it has to be a top-down approach mixed with grassroots movements. Like, it's not just the like, up to us that, can recycle or compost or, do a little river cleanup where we live. It but it ends up being our problem to solve inevitably. So, it takes all of us doing what we can as much as we can. But then you see that marginalized communities are some of the most affected by natural disasters, climate change, and toxic chemicals and pollutants in our environments. Yet they don't have the time or money or energy to access resources to do more sustainable actions sometimes. Sometimes they're
Right.
working two, three jobs and they're a single mom just trying her absolute best. So that's what we're trying to make sustainability is so easily accessible and understood and communicated and accessed in so many ways for everyone.
That just becomes second
Everyone.
nature.
Yeah, that's when sustainability is also sustainable. When everyone can access it, everyone can do something without it costing them, a way of life or just having to go out of your way to be a sustainable human being.
I
So,
agree.
it,
It's not made easy. It is not made easy. It's like, like sustainability is often seen as expensive. It's often seen as like trying to be informed on something, which, is great for podcasts, I guess, in a way, because you can just hopefully play this podcast in the background of you cooking dinner for your family or going on your commute to work and possibly just picking up a thing or two. But it is interesting to hear, of many Americans not living sustainable lifestyles because there is no safeguard for them. There's no policy that can push them towards that. Um, and so we have to start there. I truly do get so annoyed when people try to say, like, it's an individual thing. Like, yeah, and guess what? If all of us recycle, that does something. But if I just recycle and the rest of the people in my building don't recycle, then I'm just like spraying water on a wildfire. Like, that is how it comes down to, or that is what it comes down to. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but it is very interesting to me when people, particularly policymakers, are like, you need to go out and recycle and you need to like do this and that. And that's not what we're here for. We're here to just
no shame, no
learn.
guilt. We're
No
not
shame,
doing
no
shame. We're
guilt.
not doing guilt because if you want to then dissect things in that manner, millionaire and billionaires with what they utilize in their energy, use what they do in like a day with their companies or like a year or something. There's some sort of ratio that I'm not putting together very well, but well, it covers more than, let's say, their efforts in one day and their energy use in one day could go for years of our existence.
These millionaires and billionaires,
Everybody is huge.
they're not thinking about the people or the planet in the way that they should be. And if they were, they wouldn't be billionaires. And
Mm.
that is what's
Or you could be a really hot,
tricky.
cool, sexy billionaire and like give your money to others or infrastructure or I don't know, just doing some good.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
thanks to that.
I'm open to that because who truly needs $1 billion? Who needs two? Like these multi-billion-dollar companies, they're out here just continuing to make money without a care in the world when they should care because they're the ones that are putting us into these boxes of like, well, then now what do I do? Because all these data centers are now hurting us, and there's case studies of like horrible illnesses coming up because of big industry just doing their thing and then also contributing to waste. It's a whole host of problems, and it's all caused by them. And if you are one individual who orders from, let's say, well, I will use a fake company name, but if you were to order from Shmamajan, well, that's that's you're not a horrible person for doing that. That you are just living in the reality that we are in, and if only Shmamazon could be a more sustainable company, then ordering from them wouldn't be bad. But that doesn't. But then that wouldn't affect your lifestyle either. So how can we just transform into these? How can these
just transitions?
Yeah, exactly. Just transitions.
We're at the stage right now where we have been inundated with information and we know all of these things, and it's a lot of fear mongering, right? It's like, we're after 2030, like, who knows if we're going to be here? Da, da, da. Technically, we have
Yeah.
until 2100 to get our shit. No, I'm just kidding. We have 2100 before there's some really big tipping points that are to occur, but there's still 70 plus years from now until then that we can really change the trajectory of what is going on. And I won't take no for an answer, or yeah, you're crazy, or your vision is too big, because impossible things happen every day. And I think that some good deserves to unfold on this beautiful planet for the better good of all involved, from the tiniest little microscopic insect all the way to, us as people. Like, everyone can benefit, and that's where sustainability lives and thrives. And I feel that so many businesses, corporations, people everywhere, everything needs sustainability as its focal point, and not the other way around, where you're putting sustainability in there, you're just throwing it in to look good. Like, it has to be a foundational,
has to be authentic,
an absolute must. It has to be a pillar of your business, of everything that you do. Otherwise, it serves in selfish ways, So if we want to keep rocking and rolling the way we are on this planet, we just have to learn to think about our actions and consequences just a little bit more, so that they're not just overlapping and compounding, and now we're in the shitstorm we are, pardon my French. But then it makes everything so overwhelming and daunting. Like, no, I can't even think about that, because like, we're in poverty and famine and disease. No, like, sustainability is the solution to all of those things if we allow it to be, and like, start small and see where it grows, and also just engage in it, right? Like, we know that there's a difference between knowing and doing, and we're in that spot where it's like, okay, well, you've been knowing this, what are you going to do about it? And I'm asking myself that first every day. Like, am I going to show the fuck up as a person that I know I need to be to live a more holistic, sustainable, awesome existence, and not have that shame and guilt be like the tail end of the things that I do? I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, right?
No, it's so true. It's so true. But yes, we shouldn't be feeling bad for our everyday decisions. So our everyday decisions have to include a bit of sustainability so that it all balances out. It's all good.
Would you say that do you feel happier when you incorporate sustainability into your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've never experienced something so academically sound and also researched and proven that makes me feel so good about
Mm,
being a human in this like crazy world. Um, it brings things back to basics. It simplifies life in a way that makes you think like, wait, okay, just this moment of now is great and what I have is enough. It's like the mindful consumption of all things, whether it's thoughts, physical things, food, water, like it's just the mindful consumption of everything in my
mhm.
eyes. So yeah, definitely it makes me a happier person. Um, and it makes me want to
Yeah.
achieve more as within sustainability in a not an aggressive, competitive, negative way. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I want to do better than I did before, like than I did yesterday. And I want to do this podcast with my friend because sustainability needs this, you know?
Yeah,
So it's like,
totally.
hey, no, like do all the things, get excited. Life is short.
When I live sustainably, I do feel just better about myself. And kind of going back also into why sustainability matters for me, I am going to be a little selfish right now and say that, like, sustainability matters because, okay, a little background really quick, guys.
Mm-hmm. Go
In
off.
countries like Nordic countries like Denmark, they've been working for the past 55 plus years on sustainability. Some people will not get to see the benefits of those policies set back 50 years ago. But me being 25 in 50 years, I might still be alive, right? I might, and what type of world do I want to live in? So, yes, we're building for future generations, but also, like, I have a couple generations to go as well. And if nothing else can get you into sustainability, hopefully self preservation can, because that's kind of where we're at right now. Not to fearmonger, but I want to be able to be like
The earth will be
75.
fine. The earth will be
Earth will be
fine. She could
fine.
just shake us off right now if she wanted to. We're trying to treat her so well and respect her and love her. You know, that's we can do it, but it's really self-preservation. You're absolutely right. It's us
Yeah.
humans that won't survive.
It's like without the environment, there's no people. And there's a whole bunch of problems in our world right now that we're facing. We're facing all the isms of from racism to sexism, outdated BS. Like, we're not thinking about trans people the way that we should be thinking about them, which is like to be caring for them. But all of those problems would go away without like a protected environment. But that would also mean that go away. And I don't want us to
Mhm.
go away. I want to be able
Mhm.
to see my family grow up. I want to see my friends' families grow up. I want to be able to be, you know, breathing in clean air, drinking clean water, and not having to worry about where my food is coming from and if it's sprayed with a bunch of like freaking pesticides. And I want to be 75 years old, being able to walk out my door and able to walk to a reliable transportation system and go to my local markets and
With renewable
buy
energy.
with renewable energy. That
No
works. It
plastics either.
no plastics. I don't like this is the vision that I see me going out in my old age, and it'll make me feel so much better if I go
Mm.
out and I see that happen, and I'm confident that it'll continue. um so self-preservation, if nothing else can get you into
Mhm.
sustainability, self-preservation should.
Whatever your reason, do it. I went to a 55-year-old agroforest
Oh,
in
cool.
basalt, I believe. It's the Central Rocky Mountain Permaculture Institute. I love permaculture. And that's where I nerd out the most. It's the best. It's the most basic foundational element of like to partner with sustainability. But there are principles and pillars, and it's just about people care, earth care, and fair share. Three basics, done deal. That's
Boom.
all we need. And when I saw this like
Yeah.
beautiful lands that this man Jerome, I can forget his last name right now, but Jerome is an absolute baddie, and he's been building this place up for 55 years with his blood, sweat, and tears, and awesome volunteers and people that live there now. And it's just amazing to see things just grow together that you would never even consider growing in Colorado. And just the abundance is out of this world cool. And just walking through these greenhouses that are just filled with cacti and plants that are just covering you and touching you everywhere as you're walking through, and you're just eating berries and eating what is it? There's this beautiful flower, Spilanthes. It's called the toothache plant that you can just like chew on when you have a toothache, and it freaking works. And like
I
all
love
these
that.
amazing things that are just wanting to heal you and love you and give, give, give. And it's like, put yourself there if you need that hope and inspiration, because nature just wants to dance with you and be in harmony with you. So if you haven't had an experience that gets you in that space, like, stick around, and we will provide some great stories and the like to inspire you so that you can have your own experience with nature and
Yeah.
want to engage and participate in this beautiful life that we get a chance to live. And a second little tidbit from what Maya was saying. Maya, the American pika that lives up here in the Alpine.
Yeah, of course.
No. Okay, what temperature do you think that they can not survive past?
Oh gosh.
Fahrenheit degrees.
Fahrenheit degrees.
How many? Pick a number, any number.
Oh my gosh. I'll go 63.
Wow. Like those little guys, they can withstand anything. So they can't live past 78 degrees.
Okay.
But they are slowly but surely just going up the mountain and up the mountain more and more and more, because they have nowhere else to go because it's so freaking hot here. Like, it's going to be 60 degrees in a few days in Breckenridge. Like, it was just snowing. It just snowed a foot yesterday. And now it's going to be 60 degrees in like a week.
Wow.
But like, these pika, they're keystone species. A lot of our mountain ecosystem revolves around them. They're starting to die off because they can't live beyond 78 degrees. And so, like, for me, I just wrote an op-ed piece that was published yesterday in the Summit Daily newspaper. But I'm just like, do y'all want your kids to have a future where they can access the mountains like you? Do you want the pika to live?
We are living in extremely hot times, and we are not going to be able to survive in such consistent heat waves, at least here in LA in the summertime. I don't know about any other Angelinos, but when it hits 90 or 100 above for multiple days in a row, I feel my mood getting worse. I feel lethargic. I don't want to go outside. I want to stay next to my AC. And that's, not great. We need to be outside. So we need to make sure that we're living in temperatures that are suitable for the human body.
We're going to observe from nature, and we're going to take the most badass. I mean, all of it is badass, but we're going to take some lessons, some life lessons, and we're going to bring our experiences on a platter for you guys so that you have things to pick and choose from, to ponder on, to elevate and expand in your own life. We just want to make this an exciting time to get engaged and to be one with nature in a way that maybe you've never experienced before. And it's gonna feel like second nature, because it is,
Yeah.
to live in a more consistent harmony with the planet and its patterns and its cycles. And then, we go through cyclical, that's the word, cyclical experience
You got
every
it.
like 4 weeks. We are so close, so in tune with the moon and the tides and water and so many energetic things that sometimes for women we become like a lightning rod. We're like, me, I can feel all the things. Choose
Yeah.
me, like process things through me. And I think this is why we're creating what we're creating now. I don't know if you would say the same, Maya, but for so long, I feel like nature's been, scratching the back of my brain, like, hey,
Yeah.
I know that you are meant to take your lessons, your story further and share it with others so that they have a beacon to either follow or replicate.
Yeah.
We don't
And
have all
not
the
to
answers, but
right, I
but
was
we
going to say
can.
not to say that we have all the answers, but
Not every
it's
one of them.
interesting. Like you brought up a good point about women, and I just want to touch on the boys really quickly, the men. Um,
Hmm.
like men are also connected with nature. A lot of men find solitude in nature, a quietness that maybe they, with pressure of like societal pressure to present a certain way, when you're in nature you don't need to feel that, and women as well.
Hmm.
um, and men, they kind of like operate on this daily cycle, and in my mind I almost find them connected to the sun, because their
Hmm.
hormones and their cycles,
Fire.
they're daily. They're
Hmm.
fiery, yeah, but they're
Hmm.
fiery. They can be dangerous. Don't get too close. But they definitely operate on a daily cycle where it's the same as the sun. The sun comes up every
Hmm.
single day. And so, men, think about yourself being connected to the sun as women are
Hmm.
connected to the moon. And I think that would just really bring a lot more, maybe, clarity on how we are connected and with nature.
And it's tough right now too, because wildfires are a very real reality, especially this summer. I feel all across the United States, especially the West, we're going to be on high alert. Like Colorado's already had multiple like red flag warning days because it's been windy and so
And
dry.
water
So,
restrictions as well.
and it's May 7th, 2026. So a TV, like we're gonna be along for this ride. From here on out, like we're on this journey with all of you, experiencing life and what nature has to offer. And sometimes she's gonna come in hot with some wildfire activity. And, you know, having seen a lot of wildfires myself, it's not like, oh, what can we do to like diminish it or lessen the blow of these things? It's really going to be like, how do we live alongside wildfires at this point? Like, it's not, we've gone past so many tipping points already,
Mm-hmm.
that now it's like, hey, let's be resilient because we need to learn how to survive this. And that's what we're trying to offer. We're trying to offer a way to live with this, accept it, and still find some joy and some belonging within all of this. Yeah, so just to reiterate, the truth we have found is that there is so much information, both wonderful and frightening, about sustainability. But there's still a gap between knowing these facts and figures and then actually participating, engaging, doing something about it. And so Maya and I both have experienced this firsthand in our studies, in our academic life, and then just in life in general, because we have sought out experiences where we're living close to nature. And even then, sometimes sustainability is not the easiest. And so now that we have both gained some further academic knowledge and active participation in our studies within sustainability, we keep noticing patterns, and it just gets, it unfolds the deeper you get. And so we wanted to highlight some of those things, such as sustainability conversations very often happening in exclusive spaces, the access to this information not really being equal or based in equity at all. And if it does, sometimes it's pretty exclusive in that sense, as well as to who the stakeholders are and who we're talking about, who we're
Yeah.
trying to protect. And then, in the same way, sustainability is communicated. It doesn't always connect with how people live on a day to day basis. It goes over people's heads, and often it seems like it's just something for elite or more affluent people in affluent places. And it's really not. Even though the real structural barriers are absolutely prevalent. And I don't know if Maya, you want to touch on some of those.
I can totally talk about those barriers for sure, and kind of also talk about how they've impacted me as well. There's financial privilege that's tied to sustainability. There's a lack of access and a lack of access to education in particular to sustainability. There's professional networks that you can't get into, or you have to pay an absurd amount of money to get into. Um, and Sometimes sustainability can feel isolating and like finding where you belong in these spaces. And I felt that for a really long time. I felt a lot of climate stress and climate anxiety because in the groups that I ran with, and I actually still do run with, it's just like sustainability isn't brought up unless I bring it up. And it was isolating. So it's been so refreshing being in a program that supports sustainability and being just surrounded by like-minded people in general. And unfortunately, I had to go into, and I'm going to be honest with you guys here, I had to go into $100,000 of debt to get here. So that is not okay. And most people don't have that. Most people can't get approved for loans for jack shit anymore. We're living paycheck to paycheck, and there is a privilege tied to sustainability. And that's incredibly unfair. We know that life isn't fair, but this is something that can be. And so we want to share education. We want to invite other collaborators to come with us on this journey, and be open to just sharing their knowledge and their wisdom in these areas for free. I think that would make it way more accessible, way more easier to kind of live sustainably without even having to think about it. And then also just being aware of what you're voting for as well, living in America. And then if you are that mom who is a single mom working 3 jobs and are just tired, wouldn't it be nice to just know that you're surrounded by something like community and, you know, something that is there to support you in a way to make sure that you and your kids are living a life well lived and well deserved. And so that is, we saw this space. Well, I guess more so, we saw this gap in sustainability from all of these barriers. And so we want to be a space where art and science can come together and merge into one. We want to invite creatives to come and hang out with us and talk about what sustainability means to them. We want, to have a space that feels human and can actually be lived in. And we want to hold a space where We ask questions. There are no silly questions. We all start somewhere. Like I said, I came in with one definition of sustainability. I left my program with a totally different definition, and that's just academia speaking. So, how can we put these things into practice? And we want to explore ideas with the general public and just have a place where people can participate without really needing to know everything already. Because, as we've said, sustainability, there's no perfect system to it. Um, we are just trying to be aware, intentional, and just simply show up and become better over time. And so this brings us to our lab of sorts, our organization we have started called Reciprocity Lab. And we're here to explore what it actually means to collaborate on life sustainably in a way that is grounded and honest and practical to the average person.
Dare I say, filled with compassion and also science based.
Yeah, science is awesome. We're like alive. We can live past 25 now because of science. Do not shit on it. It gives us so much information that we can use for our benefit. Oh, the earth is warming, so we might become extinct. Okay, that's a great information to have. Wow, how can we use that to our benefit?
Amen, sister. There is always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way.
I can totally talk about those barriers for sure, and kind of also talk about how they've impacted me as well. You know, there's financial privilege that's tied to sustainability. There's a lack of access and a lack of access to education in particular to sustainability. There's professional networks that you can't get into, or you have to pay an absurd amount of money to get into. And sometimes sustainability can feel isolating and like finding where you belong in these spaces. And I felt that for a really long time. I felt a lot of climate stress and climate anxiety because in the groups that I ran with, and I actually still do run with, it's just like sustainability isn't brought up unless I bring it up. And it was isolating. So it's been so refreshing being in a program that supports sustainability and being just surrounded by like-minded people in general. And unfortunately, I had to go into, and I'm going to be honest with you guys here, I had to go into $100,000 of debt to get here. So that is not okay. And most people don't have that. Most people can't get approved for loans for jack shit anymore. We're living paycheck to paycheck, and there is a privilege tied to sustainability. And that's incredibly unfair. We know that life isn't fair, but this is something that can be. And so we want to share education. We want to invite other collaborators to come with us on this journey, and be open to just sharing their knowledge and their wisdom in these areas for free. I think that would make it way more accessible, way more easier to kind of live sustainably without even having to think about it. And then also just being aware of what you're voting for as well, living in America. And then if you are that mom who is a single mom working 3 jobs and are just tired, wouldn't it be nice to just know that you're surrounded by something like community and, you know, something that is there to support you in a way to make sure that you and your kids are living a life well lived and well deserved. And so that is, you know, we saw this space, well, I guess more so, we saw this gap in sustainability from all of these barriers. And so we want to be a space where art and science can come together and merge into one. We want to invite creatives to come and hang out with us and talk about what sustainability means to them. We want, to have a space that feels human and can actually be lived in. And we want to hold a space where we ask questions. There are no silly questions. We all start somewhere. Like I said, I came in with one definition of sustainability. I left my program with a totally different definition, and that's just academia speaking. So how can we put these things into practice? And we want to explore ideas with the general public and just have a place where people can participate without really needing to know everything already, because as we've said, sustainability, there's no perfect system to it. We are just trying to be aware, intentional, and just simply show up and become better over time. And so this brings us to our lab of sorts, our organization we have started called Reciprocity Lab. And we're here to explore what it actually means to collaborate on life sustainably in a way that is grounded and honest and practical to the average person.
Dare I say, filled with compassion and also science based.
Yeah, science is awesome. We're like alive. We can live past 25 now because of science. Do not shit on it. It gives us so much information that we can use for our benefit. Oh, the earth is warming, so we might become extinct. Okay, that's a great information to have. Wow, how can we use that to our benefit?
Amen, sister. There's always a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Echo what Maia's saying too. Like, we aren't anything far from perfect. But also, life is not about being perfect. It's about showing the heck up. And that's what we're asking of ourselves with this project, because it is a labor of love. But also, we ask that you all show up imperfectly with your worries, your concerns, your curiosity. Just bring it all here. Dish with us.
We
Figure it
want
all
it.
out. We want to be aware. We want to be intentional. We want to
We're
show up
craving
every
it.
single time, doing better over time. It's not about just, one day to the next. It's over time. And yeah, we're craving it. We want this. We've been craving this for so long. And now finally we've mustered up the courage to create the vessel. And now we're going to fill it with all the good things of life and the ways that we can connect in community, and be those creative problem solvers that we innately all are. And just, if we haven't mentioned it already, we're learning right alongside you. Every day we're learning. Like we said, we're lifelong learners now. Once we turn the sustainability light on, you can't turn it off. Like, it's
You know
always
too
there.
much.
In
You
the
know
best
too
of
much.
ways. Or like we're a little secret society that knows like the solutions to everything is sustainability. But yeah, this is why we're doing this. We're taking the pressure completely off getting sustainability, quote unquote, right, or doing it the right way. That doesn't exist. It's adapting and overcoming, mitigating issues, and moving forward constantly in any way we can. Um, and,
Yeah.
a lot of times we end up crumbling before we even try because it feels so overwhelming. Totally valid here. But in that same breath, we want to absolutely ensure that this is where we come to really try. and
Yeah.
explore, mess up, ask every question imaginable, observe, and grow right where you are. We're meeting you where you're at, and we're only going up from here. And it's only because we're together. We're doing this together. So we ask you that you keep tuning in, you keep showing up, just join us on this journey. And um, yeah, let's make sustainability an awesome thing to be a part of. Because
Yeah.
honestly, like it's everywhere, right? You hear sustainability here, there, and everywhere. It's become a buzzword. Brands use it, influencers use it, companies claim it left and right. Um, but it makes it real muddled, and people aren't really sure what's what because there's so much greenwashing, which we will explain further down the line as well, so you guys know what that is and where to look out for it. And some people do it well as well. But how does
Hmm.
sustainability fit into everyday life? How can we make it as easy as breathing? And that's what we're
Yeah.
attempting here.
Yeah, going off of that, we want this sustainability collective. We want Reciprocity Lab to be a place where storytelling, education, and community are woven together to just make sustainability more accessible, like you said, Cassie. And through this podcast in particular, today we did a little bit of intro foundation on ourselves. Hopefully you guys know us a bit more now, and we are so excited to get to know you as well. Everything we build through Reciprocity Lab is meant to feel like an exciting chemistry lab. It's supposed to feel like a place to experiment, to test different ideas, see how they would work like realistically, to rethink our habits a bit, and to understand the systems that we're a part of. Today, we talked a lot about nature, but we are part of so many more systems that affect one another. And Cassie, you said this before, but you pull on one string and it affects a whole other thing. And so we want to understand those things better. And once we do, the solutions will kind of speak for themselves and come out naturally. So be messy with us, be curious with us. I think that's the biggest thing about Reciprocity Lab. We really focus on our planet, our people, and our community. So if you want, unless Cassie, you have anything else to say?
Yeah, super small bit, but as much as our problems and contamination is interwoven within all of us, so can our hope and our joy and our resilience. Like, if you feel resilient in your own life and in your own mind and heart, you can share that with others. And I hope you really do. We both
And
hope
you
you
become
really
stronger too.
does, baby. And then we become stronger together. A better future is possible. And so, yeah, please join us on this journey. We would love to have you with us. And please check out our socials and website for more ways to collaborate, contribute, and honestly, just start something on your own as well. We want to empower you to be the change that we desperately need in this beautiful world. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in with us.
And on that note, I feel like it might be time to let you guys go back to your life and daily task. But on our next episode, we will be starting with a simple question, and that is just simply, what is sustainability? But really dive into it, because we said sustainability probably over 500 times in this
Yeah,
episode
easily.
alone, and easily. And
What is that?
many of you might be wondering, like, okay, or have like some idea of what it is, but we want to share with you what we've learned, what sustainability is, and so you have this free access and this free resource forever and always. Before we can even start talking about greenwashing and ethical brands and lifestyle changes in our habits, we also have to understand that there is a bigger picture, and we all need to get onto the same page. So just like really diving deep into what sustainability is as a term, and how it impacts our lives on a broad scale and a minuscule scale. We're going to get into that next time. So yes, this is just the beginning, and there's so much more to unpack. Do not worry. We are going to hold your hand every step of the way. We do not want to overwhelm you with anything, and we want to be a place of solitude, a place that you can come back and listen to and feel inspired by. So
be kind to yourself, be kind to others.
And again, I'm Maya.
I'm Cassie.
And thanks for caring. See you next time.
Reciprocity Lab is a sustainability collective that aims to connect one another through education, shared storytelling, and community outreach. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us on social media. The links are in our bio. Today's episode was co-created by Cassie Fetchik and Maia Morrissey, with editing done by Maia Morrissey. Artwork for that podcast is done by Zoe Coyle. Until next time, thanks for caring.